All right, here we go. Today we have one of the founders of hip-hop culture, the world's first solo rapper, the MC who participated in the first major rap battle, the rapper that was featured in the first hip-hop movie, Wild Style. Talking about the chief rocker, Busy B.
Yeah.
It is an honor to welcome you to VladTV.
Yeah, it's a welcome to be here, man. But hey, Vlad, hold up, man, because you already started that shit already early.
Okay.
I'm an MC, man.
Yes.
You know, you said the first rapper. I ain't no goddamn rapper.
MC.
I'm the first MC.
MC.
MC is the culture. You got breakdancing, graffiti writing, DJing, and MC. That's who you got now. You ain't never had no MC on your show. You got the first MC
We've
on
had a
your
few
show.
MCs.
No,
We've
you
had a few
rappers.
MCs.
You had
We've
rappers.
had Curtis Blow.
Oh, okay. Well, Curtis Blow's a good MC rapper, too, because he ain't, that's my man, though.
We've had Redman.
Yeah.
Redman's a great MC.
I didn't see that on, that's what I was looking for.
It's on there.
Okay.
It's on there.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who else in terms of MCs.
Okay, yeah.
We've had Big Daddy Kane.
That's my man. He's a dope
We've
MC.
had MCs.
Okay, yeah. So you had MCs.
You're not going to brush that under the carpet here.
yeah,
We've had
yeah.
real MCs
Yeah.
on here. Yes. But you are the original MC.
Okay, that's what's up.
Well, first time here. Let's start in the very beginning.
Right.
Grew up in the South Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
The Prospect Avenue area?
Yep. Home Street.
Okay. What was that like in the 60s and 70s?
Oh, man, abandoned buildings. I lived across the street from the abandoned buildings. A lot of gangs. Music was the key out, which we didn't really know as that then, but it was like that. It was no other thing but the gangs and the crews running around doing what they was doing. There was no music inclined. The music didn't start till like probably 77 for me to notice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I did notice, like around in 77, because I started hearing about Flash and Mean Gene and Disco Beat, which was Flash's friend too. But I went to the park where they was playing the music in the street, and they had microphone stands. So I was curious, like, what was that about? And Melly Mel, at the time his name was Melly Mel, his brother Kid Creole, and Keith Cowboy. They was Flash's friends that can control the mic and use the mic. So, I was curious about that. I was wondering what would they do while he's doing that. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's something. The crowd was happy with them doing it. It was like exciting to them. And for me, it was something I've never seen. It was, Melly Mel and his brother Kid Creole, they had a routine. So I guess they was brothers, they can do that. They go home, make a routine. But it was, for me, that shit was nice, And see, back then, we didn't have, it was dope and all that. We'd just say, oh, that shit was crazy. Oh, that shit was dope. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have all these slang words today that we have. But, for me, that was awesome. So, but I didn't have a brother or a best friend like, yo, let's do that. Let's try to do that. So times went on. I seen him do it once or twice. And I told Melly Mel, I said, yo, I like that shit, man. That shit is dope what y'all doing. I want to do that. I want to be that when I could, And he said, hey, he just looked at me and like, that's what's up, And he always had a Pro-Cat sky blue shirt and said Flash fan. Like he was a Flash fan. And I always see him, when I see him, I used to want to do that. And I became the one to do that because him and his brother, they had routines and I wanted to do that. But I had to go on the other side of town to do it because I didn't want nobody to think I was taking something or biting. See, back then we was using the word biting.
Mm-hmm.
You biting this shit. Oh, yo, you bit this shit up. I didn't want nobody to think I was biting on that side. So I went across town where they didn't hear that shit at and put their shit and add whatever I could add to mine. But it worked. But it worked in a mysterious way because I met Disco King Mario. He told me, I didn't know. He said my voice. He said your voice on his system because he had a system. People had DJ equipment, maybe had their mother stereos and stuff like that. But Mario had a studio equipment. Like you knew that was some real stuff he had.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked on his microphone and he told me, he said, yo, you know how you say the word vicious? He wouldn't say it like that. He said, your shit was vicious. He said, you sounded so vicious. And I was like, wow. And so he would, and asked me where I lived. He must have thought I lived in his neighborhood. When I told him, I said, I'm on the other side. He would tell me out here, I'll put you in a cab, I'll give you cab fare, and if you come back here on Friday, we have the school, we played music in the school, you rock my mic, you know what I'm saying? And my name was Starsky at this time. He said, yo, Starsky, you come to my thing and you rock the mic, man, yo, I pay. So I did that, I was doing that. And I built a name over there, you know what I'm saying? I was in a whole nother world. I was Soundview, Clashing Point, Monroe Projects. I was on that side, Brooklyn, Bruckner Bridge, you know, White Plains Road. I was over there. Flash was on the east side, Boston Road, Prospect. So I didn't think that they knew anything about what was going on over there. So but Mario knew everybody. He knew Flash, he knew Bam Bada. Him and Bam was friends, you know what I'm saying? And him and Bam are playing Bronx River, and he'll tell Bam, I got my MC, he'll talk about me, and Bam had, at this time, Mr. Biggs, Zombu, a couple of, he had a whole gang of motherfuckers over there. The Zulus, they was big. So I became a MC doing that, and I was pretty good with it to Mean Gene. Mean Gene knew I lived it on his block up to Boston Road where Flash and them is at. And he saw me one time, he said, hey, yo, Busy, he said, yo, Starsky, man, I broke up with Flash. Flash was Mean Gene's partner at this time. It was Grandmaster Flash and Mean Gene. It was no Theodore. It was none of that shit. It was none of that. So Mean Gene told me, he said, yo, you know I used to work with Flash. Me and Flash is not together no more, but I got my little brother Theodore that spin, and I'll spin every now and then. And I got two MCs, which was Kevy Kev and Robbie Rob. And I knew them too, you know, we from the neighborhood. But they was brothers. And Mean Gene and Cordy and Theodore, they was brothers. So I said, where the fuck I'ma fit in at? I ain't, you know, like, what the fuck I'ma do? He said, yo, B, man, you live over here, we fuck with you, you our brother, so we gonna be the L brothers. So that was their name, Gene Livingston, Theodore Livingston, you know, so they did that, the L, so, and Robbie Rob and Kev was brothers. So fuck it, I'm the oddball, I'm the black cat of the whole shit, you know what I'm saying? But it worked out, because now Flash got 3 MCs, and now Mean Gene got 3 MCs. You know what I'm saying? Which was me, Kevy Kev, and Robbie Rob, and Flash had Melly Mel, Kid Creole, and Keith Cowboy. You know what I'm saying? So now if we had to play with each other, it was an even playing field.
Well, Keith Cowboy, he was the one that invented the phrase hip-hop?
Yeah, yeah. And you know, what's funny about that, a lot of people really don't know this story, but it was real, because at the end of the day, I was in Morris High School with Billy when it happened. You know, back in the 70s, they was drafting, you know, they still drafting men.
Oh, for Vietnam?
Yeah, for Vietnam and shit.
Yeah.
So the teachers and they used to always tell us, we at the age till we can get called any given day. Everybody talking about we going to the Army. Everybody's scared to go to the Army now around this time. So Billy came to school sad as shit. Yo, looking down and like, what? And I forgot who asked him, but they said, yo, what's wrong, B? B said, I got drafted. And we thought about it. And yo, Billy got drafted, yo. And the word was out, all the Boston Road, because Billy was in Boston Road, right on the corner of 166th Street, with Joe Sievers, with Big Donald, Keith Cowboy, Vita. The whole crew was out there. That was like half of the posse, a Flash crew right there. So, and Keith Cowboy lived in that area right there. So Billy was from there. And Flash was playing in the block, right? So Cowboy got on the mic and said, hey, Billy got to go to the Army. He got drafted to the hip, hop, hip, left, right, left, right, the hip.
It was an Army
don't
chant?
Stop, yeah.
Oh.
So every like 15 minutes, right, Flash playing music, he would get on the mic and say it again. Billy, don't feel bad, you got to left, right, hip, hop, left, right, and don't stop. And all that week after Cowboy kept saying that, you know, people kept saying, yo, did you go to that hip-hop joint? They was talking about Billy and the hip-hop, they was talking hip-hop, and we just kept, then Love Bug start chanting it. Keith Cowboy start chanting it more. I start chanting it. It became a phrase. And that became the beginning of that culture.
Yeah, what it still is today.
Right.